Okay, I think that we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Starseed Netlink, also known as Lady Arya Starflower of Sophia. And today we're going to be going ahead and answering some already prepared questions that our audience has left behind on some of our videos over the past month and the beginning of this month. So we're going to go through those first before we're going to be going to some of the questions that our audience has already started to post. For people who are new tuning into listening to my YouTube channel is mostly centered around starseeds, SSP, spirituality, all the beginnings and basics of this. And not only that, but I also have a very popular series on my YouTube channel called Space School Lessons if people want to check that out. Please share, like, sub, or donate. All that information is in my YouTube profile. This is my co-host, KAVi. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
How's it going? I'm Lord KAVi Pulaha, and I'm at Lord_KAVi 777 on YouTube, and basically all other sites. So yeah, we've been doing Galactic Disclosure Showcase for a while now, looking at different sets of material put out by different whistleblowers and contactees and just different resources in the Starseed Ascension Awakening space. My channel is very Law of One based. Law of One being the highest and best timeline for all. The Guardians are multiple groups from dimensions 12 through 15D, notably 13 through 15D, where there's no polarization and separation. So they actually guard the infinite flow of natural organic source and how it flows through all of our Milky Way galaxy. So yeah, I represent a lot of their messages and their messaging here. And my channel is devoted to Law of One. Some of the symbols behind us reflect that as well. So yeah, if you're interested in that kind of stuff, feel free to check it out.
So not only that, but we both do session work. So if you want to contact us, both of our contacts are in our YouTube profile. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and get started with some of the questions that we have already had with some of our audience. So this is our first question. And it says, if a soul right after death chooses not to go through the tunnel and not to go to the beings of light, massacred as malevolent, the soul wants to avoid Archon reincarnation traps, where else can a soul choose to go? What other planets is safe for human souls where Archons, Dracos, and Greys have not interfered? And one of the ways that I can best describe it is, if a soul does not want to reincarnate into this galaxy and dimension, they don't have to. But you have to literally go to a different universe in a separate timeline. So meaning you have to go to an entirely different universe with an entirely separate timeline, not in the Milky Way. But essentially, you can go to the Andromedan galaxy. You can go to other type of galaxies that they have not gone to.
Yeah, so the Law of One point of view, Ashana Dean speaks about this a lot. So we talked about the infinite flow of natural organic source being the flow that kind of goes through our 15D time matrix. The Guardians guard that through the 12D Templar Stargate system. So there's 12 Stargates, and those are all kind of headquartered on Earth because we're the lowest, we're kind of the hubcap within the galaxy. So all the Stargates kind of start on Earth here. So it's a very interesting spot we're in. If you were to die, so if you're aligned to the infinite flow of natural organic source, you can actually pick. And I've had a couple sessions about this. I'm actually part of the Stasis Pod program, so I'm projecting here from a Stasis Pod. And I asked in one of my sessions multiple times, what if I don't want to go back to the Stasis Pod when I go, right? And it was made very clear to me on multiple occasions that you get to pick. And basically, I would talk to your higher selves. I would talk to other beings and reach out to them, because really you can go wherever you'd like. You're one of 1,728 avatars. So which planet, you're already on all those planets contiguously. So like in the now moment. So you can kind of go wherever you'd like. But you would want to interface with those beings and request to go, and then they would send you an acceptance, and then you would choose to incarnate there. That's how, you get a full sovereign choice if you're aligned to the law of one, highest, best timeline for all, and the infinite flow of natural organic source, is the first thing. Second of all, so when I first started awakening, I'd get really into meditation, and I would see that tunnel. And let me tell you, so that at one point that went away for me entirely. And the reason it went away for me is because I found the law of one teachings, and I realized that I can sovereignly decide to go wherever I'd like. And once I made that decision and knew it like fully deep down, when I would go in and meditate, that tunnel stopped appearing. And that was a big deal for me, because I thought, I'd always seen that tunnel, right? And it was like, oh, it doesn't exist anymore. Wow, crazy. And then I started just I'd see stars when I'd meditate and things rather than that tunnel. So I would run my clearing mantra, my Mohawk seal on my channel. We have both of those there. The Mohawk seal is going to bring in Christic light from 11D and 12D through that Templar Stargate, the natural Stargate that the Guardians guard. That will completely wash that away for you. So yeah, the tunnel, I'm not saying you see the tunnel or whatever. I don't know what your situation is, but that tunnel goes away based on your belief. Your consciousness here, what you're existing now, is a point of consciousness based on the ideals that you hold, the beliefs you hold. Yeah, so if you believe that exists and that's a threat to you, it will be. But if you not only believe that it doesn't, and then furthermore move on past that with the law of one teachings and the guardian teachings, one of these Haibeka codes are great too. You really won't be experiencing no tunnels and no beings of light. And if you did, you would laugh at them and be like, oh, for example, I chose to go to the Nagas, right? I've met with the Nagas in my meditations. I'm very interested in what they do, blah, 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 blah. I mean, it's not like a job interview, but you also on a frequency level do get to decide sovereignly. And I would recommend talking to your higher selves, talking to other beings and thinking about that. I also want to have a final point, is that we are in there's a lot of talk in the past about what happens when I die. The fact of the matter is, right now, while you are alive, between now and 2030 is your chance to hop on the ascension train with your law of one alignment, with running higher dimensional frequencies, higher dimensional currents in your system, like 11D and 12D with the Mahar seal. You can align to that flow. And then basically, the planet Earth is going to go to Tara, so 3D to 5D. So we're actually doing an ascension while alive process. The death part is less important at this time for most people. Now, if someone does die, obviously we don't want anyone going down tunnels or soul traps or anything. Beings of light are not there to help you at the end. So it's not that they're not there to help you, but you need to make a sovereign choice on where you want to go, or that choice will be made for you, and you will be, in quotes, relieged, like religion. It's the same word. You'll be relieged to a timeline that is not for your highest and best light. That's why it's all about a sovereign choice with the law of one. And the guardians, that's what they uphold. That flow is what they uphold. That's kind of, in certain senses, all they do. They also do a lot of other things, yes, but they're not a military organization. They're not, invading. They don't attack.
Essentially, to sum it up, is that you have a right to choose. The best thing about it is that if you don't want to reincarnate into this galaxy,
you can go to another galaxy. Yes, exactly.
You can go to another universe. You can go to another galaxy.
Exactly.
And I think, at least in my opinion, I at least want to give my opinion about this. But when I hear a lot of near-death experiences where you hear people that meet God or Jesus or anything like that, or
Angels.
any religious stuff, they're still tuned into the old collective mindset of the human race. Like when you, your consciousness, or at least some part of it, is still connected to the old consciousness. So when you have a near-death experience, you're kind of plugged into that type of mindset or collective. And when you come back, you entirely get an entirely different presence. At least that's what I understand.
And, well, in a certain sense, listen to this. In a certain sense, if you were aligned with the law of one, the infinite flow of natural organic source, you would, upon death, let's say you died on accident, right? You got hit by a truck and died, right? You would, at that point of death, you would be able to choose where you want to go sovereignly based on your frequency, right? Because you had a near-death experience and saw Jesus, that's because you believed in Jesus. And because you didn't make the sovereign decision for yourself, this being masquerading as Jesus, maybe it's Jesus. There's 3 Jesuses, right? Which one did you get? One of them is a trickster and he's a fallen being. So you might be released into an Anunnaki slave timeline again, right? So your law of one alignment, even if you were to die accidentally, leaves you with the sovereign choice. And if you don't decide, you're going to get archangels, and someone is going to step in, and they're usually going to step in because there's loosh involved, and they can get some of your loosh. So it's not a very sovereign decision if you ended up seeing angels. And I would try and release that programming.
Yeah. So we're going to go on to the next question.
And releasing that programming is not something that happens overnight, but the law of one alignment and Mahark seal, Haibeka codes, these are all direct instruments, mathematical tools, not just symbols, that you can actually pull in these higher dimensional energies with and clear your field. And then it's just going to start changing your perspective. And part of that perspective change will be, this Jesus stuff is all nice and good. I respect people's free will, but I'm not going to get caught in that religion to be released.
Okay, so we're going to go on to the next one. What exactly is Bigfoot, Yeti, Sasquatch? Are they malevolent beings? If they are, why are humans' encounters with them so terrifying for humans? So I want to kind of speak on this because I've been diving into this type of stuff, and I have actually heard that there are actually 5 different tribes of Bigfoot and Yeti. Technically, at least from what I understand about them, they're actually not from Earth, but they do like traveling to Earth. I do believe that they probably travel from one of Earth's sister planets, and they like to come here once in a while. Or they mostly come through inner Earth and travel upwards through the tunnel systems to come on the surface, and that's how they migrate off and on this planet. But there are 5 different tribes that I know of about Bigfoot and Yeti. I think 3 of them live. 3 of them live on the surface of the planet, and then 2 of them actually live in Middle Earth. They will not come up to the surface, but the other 3 do live on the surface. I do think one of them migrates in and out of Middle Earth onto the surface, but there's at least 2 other tribes. Now, you have to understand that some of them are fighting with each other over territory and food. So encounters with them can vary. A lot of them are kind of really scared about humans, especially with guns, because they're afraid to get shot at or like hunted down and mounted up like what you do would do with deer and stuff. So they're more afraid of being hunted by humans than being discovered by humans. And that's probably the reason why encounters with them are so terrifying, is because they don't want to get shot at. They're just minding their own business in the woods. And so, yeah.
I have a few things on the Yeti. So from my gnosis, they're sitting in like 4D. Some of them are sitting in 5D. And so, first of all, they don't like to be called Sasquatch. There are a number of indigenous names that the Indians had for them. One of them is like Wetiko, and so I usually refer to them as Wetiko. But I think that's just one tribe, and I don't know a ton about Sasquatch, but all the same, they don't like being called Sasquatch. So if you're in a meditation, don't call for Sasquatch. Look up the name for the Native Americans. Wetiko is one of them. And look, from my understanding, they are friendly, especially if you are lost in the woods. I've been to many national parks, hiked, gone on crazy adventures in the woods. One time I got quite lost. And it was getting after dark. There were coyotes out, there were wild boars out. This was on the West Coast. And I actually called on them, and usually they appear as like a white orb. If they think their presence would scare you in real life. And they actually, they didn't appear. I was like, I won't be scared. I told them that, but all the same, I didn't get no physical experience with a being I saw, but it was a white orb kind of experience. And it guided me back to the path, and I found my way home. I also hear they like apples and grapes. I also hear that they're wary of interacting with humans because, yes, hunting is a concern. They're also like they're nature guardians, and they live very much so in peace and harmony. They can project themselves multiple places. They can appear. They can kind of shapeshift. They have a lot of really strong telepathic abilities that humans don't have, and they don't want to put themselves in the limelight or the spotlight. They don't want to pre-awaken us before we're ready. So they're very standoffish. And if you think you've interacted with one, or you were in the woods and you got lost and you found a white ball of light, a silver orb or whatever that guided you home to the path, I would say that's very high confidence for a Sasquatch experience. I did it. A Wetiko experience. But yeah, I mean, I think there's tons of sightings, and I think you can probably dig deeper in a lot of different resources. But yeah, saved my butt once when I was in the national park. There were coyotes and boars out that night.
Yeah, as far as we know, at least from what my understanding is that I think they're also afraid of being taken into the programs and being experimented on as well. So that's also something you guys want to factor in as well.
Yeah. And my understanding, they're very powerful beings, right? They're not like incapable. They're very telepathic, and they can. I mean, you're not dealing with. I'm not saying they're above you, but like they can really read your mind and stuff. It wouldn't be a fair fight, is what I'm trying to say. Not that they'd fight ever, but they are very powerful. So them staying secret and everyone kind of knows they exist, but they also, not everyone is going out and looking for them in the woods every day. So I think they like that veil of secrecy, and they're waiting for us to kind of have first contact with the inner earth beings and kind of ascend on our own. And I'm sure we'll be meeting them very soon here. Yeah. By 2030 for damn sure. Probably even this year, I would hope.
Okay, going on to the next question. What does space actually look like? Is it like NASA propagated images of very, very dark, black, vast, expansive vacuum with millions of bright colorful stars light years away? Have either of you had good fortune of going to space? Does our planet Earth look like NASA images on a spiritual rock in a small? So yeah, it does look like that. Like when you go into space, it's mostly just black when you get taken. And when they give you a chance to look out the windows, like, yeah, it's a big giant light blue ball. And all around it, like you won't see stars, but you'll definitely see black because it takes a really, really, you have to have like special eyesight in order to like see all the different stars. But at least from what I understand, yeah, it does look like that. It's just people just don't believe NASA anymore because they kind of airbrushed a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So NASA stands for, so NASA in Hebrew means to beguile or trick. So there's that. And I always hear not a straight answer when NASA. So anyway, we're not. So look, when you actually look at the NASA images that are released in the fine print, they say that this is a simulated image because it is. If you dig deep enough, they actually copy and paste different versions. They'll take a tiny piece of one of the planets and copy and paste it in other places. It's scrappy work for like a graphic designer. So I can't blame you in being like, I don't even know what NASA is saying because I don't know what they're saying. But let's be clear, it's not flat. Right, the flat Earth stuff is not a thing. Yes, there are pocket dimensions which somewhat line up with the beyond the ice walls type of thing, but we're not on a flat plane whatsoever. The Earth is round. Look, from a higher dimensional point of view, I can speak to this very well. Each planet has a way it looks in a certain dimension. So when NASA looks at a planet with their telescope, they view that in 3D because they're using 3D equipment. When you go to, this planet resonating at this frequency, 5D, 60, 70, whatever, right? You're seeing a different sky. You're seeing a different planet itself. The planet looks different, right? So NASA is looking at things through 3D. And like, if you look at Jupiter, in 3D, there's no life forms there, correct? But Jupiter in 5D has the Galactic Federation headquarters, right? There's many, 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 many beings living there in 5D on Jupiter. So we're not saying NASA is wrong, but NASA is looking at a 3D angle And then they're also kind of photoshopping some of their pictures, and there's political motives and all these types of things.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't die for NASA, but I think generally speaking, like, I don't know, is Earth the colors that it looks like from the NASA photos? Probably. Yeah. But I also, understand that when you go to 5D Jupiter, right, there's going to be millions and millions of beings, if not billions of beings there, right? And that is just not picked up because NASA is using 3D sensors. So I wouldn't, something that's put out by NASA, I mean, it's a very 3D take. And NASA and the SSP kind of, those groups are all in bed. So I wouldn't trust it anymore from it.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to the next question. Ooh, this one's a good one.
Yeah.
Does anyone have an opinion on David Icke? He has been delivering what seems like truths now for decades, naming names, even royals. Despite that, he hasn't been targeted by dark forces like other brave people who have come forward, like former SSP soldier Max Spears, for instance, who was poisoned to death in Poland. So I want to speak on this and give my opinion about this. I think the reason why David Icke has not been targeted heavily is because he's a paid actor, probably by the SSP. Secretly, my opinion, maybe. But honestly, I read some of his stuff, and a lot of his stuff is really, really watered down. So much so that it's sort of laughable. He gives half truths, but not the entire information. That he doesn't really know how things connect. Like, a lot of his information is like surface level information. David Icke didn't know anything about the programs, didn't know anything. All he's cared about, his work is focused on a reptilian invasion. He doesn't talk about any other races or anything like that. He mostly centers around like a reptilian invasion. So that's the reason why they mostly just think of him as a puppet or an entertainer for the masses. That's probably the reason why he has not been targeted, but it would not surprise me that he's also a paid actor to do this, or to distract people from the actual truth about what's actually going on. So that's just my opinion. Like, for an example, Max Spears was actually delivering actual information, like really, really good information.
Yeah. Did you have any more to say on that? All right. So one of the first Children of the Matrix I've read like years and years ago, and like it's a David Icke book, and it is a great starter piece for someone who literally doesn't believe in aliens at all. I also think Ari is perfectly correct here that he doesn't mention the SSP. He doesn't mention the negative alien. He does mention the negative alien agenda, but it's a very watered down view, and it's reptiles only. He doesn't mention, the white hats. I literally have yet to hear him say the word white hats, and that there's so many people talking about white hats. He's just never mentioned it. I think he's his career has been made on exposing reptilians. I think he's probably done a pretty good job at that. That is suspect. He probably is in league with some higher ups at the SSP. Wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean, look, if you got a normie and they read Children of the Matrix who saw David Icke on YouTube, that would maybe be a great start for them. All the saying we don't think is true. He's definitely not law of one under any circumstance. I've heard people say that he's a reptile himself, and they're like, oh, he's like an old British dude, reptile. I mean, I have no idea.
So that's basically what our opinion is about David Icke, is that I just think that he's just like a paid actor or a person, because all of his work is just solely based on reptilian invasion. He's very good for people who want to think or start out or anything like that. But I read some of his book. I looked into some of his books. It's pretty clear to me that everything that he talks about is staged. The reason being is because he does have a background in television. So because of that, it makes me sort of think that this was all pre-planned, in my opinion.
It's also, so look, I started researching an awakening, and I have, I've researched tons and tons and tons of things, and I found the law of one, and I've been great on that. I still research other things. He's been doing this for 20, 30 years. I think he wrote Children of the Matrix in 1996. There's a badass Faceless album, written with those lyrics. But anyway, he's been doing this for 20, 30 years. You'd think he'd have just about heard it all. And he'd have a lot of really like crazy stories. And I don't think that, I think in 30 years of research, I would have heard just about everything. And if he's never mentioned the SSP in public, I mean, Alex Collier's mentioned the SSP in public. And you think David Icke has never watched Alex Collier, right? So I mean, there are huge people in his space who are mentioning way more than he is. So he's pigeonholed himself, maybe purposefully, maybe he's an SSP plant. Look, the SSP and these goons, these Abraxas goons, we will have an episode on what Abraxas is coming out tomorrow. But these Abraxas goons basically are very interested in keeping you unawakened. So if there's going to be disclosure and release of these documents and this and all, and this and that, and the truth and all this, they want you to only see a portion of it. Or, oh, it's just the reptiles. Look, don't look around. It's just the reptiles. Go back to sleep. And that's kind of the message that we feel strongly about David Icke. Although he is quite sovereign. I mean, there are people within the political community who are just full of shit and causing tons of trouble. He probably isn't that, but he probably could, after 30 years of research, have done a little bit better than the reptile invasion is here. I guess he's covering political. I watched a couple of his YouTube videos a few weeks ago, and he covers like political things in the UK. And like, okay, good. I mean, after 30 years of UFO research, I'd hope you would got further than the reptiles have come to invade.
Yeah.
Yeah,
really,
I hope.
Yeah. So that's essentially how we feel about David Icke.
Yeah, be wary.
So this is the other question. Does this line up so someone commented on our Earth Guardian video. I have never heard of Mary Beaver. I don't know the story behind it, but I'm willing to do some more research and dive into her work and knowing a little bit about that type of information, but I can't really answer on this question until I do some more research on this.
Yeah, I'm aware who Mary Beaver is. I don't know about her True King of Earth stuff. I don't know about that. We'll have to get back to you on that. We could check that and then check that by the Guardians. I mean, look, we put a whole episode out. The channel message from the Guardians episode we put out is literally the video before this. We talk all about Kim Gogan, or we have an episode on Kim Gogan, and the video we did before that is both about Kim Gogan. Look, we're going to be talking more and more about goings on Earth 606, and there'll be more to learn. But we do cover quite a bit in that episode, and we make some objective criticisms. Look, if you're looking to learn about SSP stuff, Kim Gogan is a great one-stop shop. Although we do have issues with some of the data that she put out, some of the things are big issues. But if you're looking to learn about the programs in general and things, she's a great resource. You can go check her stuff out, and check our stuff out and see how you feel about both of them. Maybe you could have a good meditation first and go into heart coherence so you can discern properly. But yeah, our Kim Gogan episode is really, really in depth. And that's kind of what we put out at this point. We'll definitely check out the Mary Beaver stuff. Yeah. There's all sorts of galactic royalty as well.
Yeah. So I think someone has asked, I think one of the things we do have to address is a lot of people have been asking us, like, who's the new guardian of Earth? I'm going to share my side of the story and tell people, and then I'm going to let KAVi tell his side of the story. So about 3 years ago, right before I started my YouTube channel, I think about a year in, I started getting some downloads. I did not want to believe it at first. So the only people who actually know about this would probably be Brian Singh. He probably thought my story was a bunch of bullshit. And also David Purcell also knows this. But I confided in them and told them that I had a premonition or a download that I would be somewhat in charge. I didn't know about what, and I thought it was mostly full of bullshit, to be honest. But here we are sitting now, and I have been called a princess my entire life by ETs that have come and visit me. I have no idea why. It didn't click to me until recently, until I started getting these downloads. But essentially, we got downloads and we got confirmation. Maybe it's not the best confirmation in the world, but we both got confirmation that me and KAVi are the next guardians of Earth 606. So essentially, if people want to believe us or not, but we got that confirmation that we are the new guardians of Earth. We have no affiliation with the White Hats. We have no affiliation with any dark, nefarious groups whatsoever.
Strictly law of one.
So essentially, whether people want to believe us or not.
Yeah, we're not seeking validation from the crowd here. So basically, I had similar experiences when so Earth 606 is going to be like the designation number for the planet. So each planet has a number next to it because they're parallel versions. So Earth 606 is this planet and this version. Great question, Setting Dawn. But yeah, basically, when I first awakened, I was told I was royalty, and I was like, oh, that's great, man. We're all royalty because we're all source. It's an honor to be a piece of source. Thank you for asking. And they kept getting pushier and pushier and pushier with it. And I was like, okay, man, what gives? And over the course of last couple of years, basically, so the way you discern your star lineage is basically you pull your natal chart, either Western or Vedic astrology chart. And basically you're looking at when you came into this time matrix, especially in this 3D realm, when you came to Earth, what time, what location, and then basically from that, you can track your past lives. And the way you do that is you compare your astrology chart to fixed star conjunctions. You're looking for conjunctions with fixed stars in the sky. And that actually, if you have a conjunction between a 2 or a 3 degree orb, that's going to show that you had a past life there. And this works with Western or Vedic. So I have a triple conjunction with Merek, M-E-R-E-K. Merek is one of the 7 stars of the Big Dipper. And so essentially Shiva split himself into 7 pieces. Shiva being, yes, in Vedic lore, he's the destroyer, but more accurately, he is the keeper and maintainer, and he is the time stream. He's the keeper of time. He's, in quotes, the god of time, I would say. Think of the Loki show. He controls the time stream. And he more accurately is the time stream. And to incarnate on Earth, he couldn't just show up here. So he split himself into 7 pieces, being one of each of the rishis. They're called the 7 rishis. There's a fancier word in the Vedic lore, and I'm not going to stumble through it today. But the fact of the matter is, so I'm actually 1/7 of Shiva. And I know you don't have to believe me on that. I don't really care, but I do have I'm going to be making a video on this in the next week and showing my whole chart. I have no issue showing my chart and all that. I'm happy to be completely public with who I am. But so yeah, I carry the Rishi identity of Shiva. And basically every job I've ever had has kind of prepared me for this in weird ways. And the past year or two have been me realizing that everything I did led up directly to kind of this role. I also, in addition to that, so there are 3 rays of creation: the blue ray, sometimes called the emerald ray, but either way, it's a blue ray, the Elohai from 13D. Then there's the gold ray from 14D, which is a Seraphai. And then we also have the 15D Brahmarama race line, which is the pink. That's the 3 colors here. This is literally a map for the higher dimensions. That's how you pull in the frequencies with that code. But those are the 3 colors. I have all 3 of those. So we're going to have a video on this in more detail, but there's actually 2 15D cedar races here. The Kavuna, which are the guardians, known as the guardians, law of one beings. And then we also have Abraxas. Abraxas fell. And their lower dimensions, all the beings fell in the lower dimensions. So essentially, it's kind of thrown the Milky Way galaxy, our 15D time matrix, our universe, into fall. And so the guardians were called, the Kavuna were called the Kavuna Cedar race line. It's called a race family, but it's a 15D race line that seeds beings. And so they were actually called here to kind of help rehabilitate Abraxas. And the whole line.
We're going to talk a lot more about this tomorrow.
Yeah, I just made the script for it. But either way, we are part of that Kavuna contingent here, the Guardians incarnate, who have came here. We're from timeless realms, so we're both Time Lords. We don't get time sickness when we go through portals. We can open up all sorts of portals. It's no big deal. I got taken by the SSP to open portals in this timeline and in many others. I had to work through all that trauma. Like, we're both Time Lords. We don't get time sick. So we're from those Guardian realms, and we're here on behalf of the Kavuna to rehabilitate the Abraxas. Maybe sometimes I have strong takes in this and that. I have strong takes because the law of one is absolute. And we're coming here to preach that message, not even preach that message. We're coming here to present that message for your consideration and hope that you have the free will choice to decide on the best path for yourself, which is hopefully ascension. And so yeah, I have all three of the Guardian rays, Guardian Incarnate, Time Lord, and then I'm also have the triple conjunction with Merrick. So I'm a Shivan aspect. So I don't know if Audrey wants to speak more about herself, but that's kind of my point of view. And it was a long story about how we got together. We've actually been together in other lifetimes. I met Arya's 6th higher self with my 6th higher self in a physical CE5 experience with ETs where they walked up and said hi. Wasn't made up, wasn't with my eyes closed, open eyes. So there's definitely some cool Time Lord games here happening, but that's kind of my side for it. We know so much about Kim because we've been shown things and taught things to kind of prepare us for this role. Maybe we'll leave it there. Arya, did you have anything more to say or no?
With my side of the story, I sort of been prepared for this since I was a little kid, but I do know, and I am truthfully honest with my audience, like, I have been hijacked before. I have been taken into the programs. I learned things the hard way, and everything that I have learned up to this point has led me to this path. It took me this long to figure out my soul origin and figure out our mission together, and we're just taking everything by a grain of salt. Like, we're still trying to figure out things out, and you're going to figure them out the same way that we're going to figure out everything else. We're going to be working as a team and working with our audience, and that's essentially what we're doing. We're trying to be truthfully honest, transparent with our audience. We know that some people won't believe us. Some people might get ticked off at us. We don't care anymore. I'm not going to sugarcoat information. Everything is going to be free. I'm not moving my information to another platform or anything like that. Everything that you want to know is going to be free and accessible to you. So everything is either going to be posted on my account, and I mostly use KAVi's account as a backup account for videos now. And I also I don't use Rumble as much, but yeah, this is essentially us moving forward and letting people know, like, hey, we're the new Guardians of Earth.
Yeah, essentially, we were told that this basically I was offered very specifically, do you want to train for this role? You came here for the role, it's your choice. So do you want to train for it? And over the course of a few weeks, I said yes. And then I started all this training, and my psychic abilities have kind of ramped up. And basically, I'm not going to get into all the details, but essentially we are focused fully, on a law of one basis. So highest and best timeline for all. This is in alignment with the Guardians. This is in alignment with the Kavuna race line, Cedar race line from 15D. And the Guardians represent that entirely.
Well, one of the things that we also, like, we're going to be doing a whole gigantic video tomorrow doing the entire history
of the Cedar race lines and how everything was seeded in this time matrix. So we're kind of talking about stuff that's going to come out tomorrow a little bit, but.
So we have a lot of information, but one of the pieces of information I do want to share today that they did hand us is that the Mantis race that everybody talks about. I know some people in the SSP talk about them or work with them, but we got interesting feedback about them that the Mantisoids are not even allowed or should not even be in this galaxy. or in the Milky Way galaxy. They got notice, or like some sort of notice, I don't know what it is, that they have to vacate the galaxy and vacate not only this planet, but several other planets that they have occupied, that they're not even supposed to be in this galaxy. We're not even supposed to be working with them. We're not even supposed to be sharing technology with them. They're completely should not even be in this galaxy. I don't know if they got banned, but mantisoids, or at least some of them, have contributed to crimes against humanity, whether people want to admit it or not. And the Guardians are trying to kick them off the planet. So if you have people that are working with mantisoids or working with mantises, you're not even supposed to be working with them.
They're supposed to be working with insectoid and some of these amphibian beings, not mammals at all. When they mate with mammals, it has big ramifications for our DNA pool. So yeah, we have a ginormous presentation tomorrow, and it is if you thought the first Guardian Alliance video was decent, this one is probably is gonna be twice as long. And it basically has the entire history as told from 15D. So we're referring to the Cedar family race lines rather than, bottom up, this is what we experienced, and you stack it up. No, we're going top down from 15D. We're in a 15D time matrix. We're going to bring that 15D Guardians narrative to you. Furthermore, I wanted to touch one more on the lineage stuff. I'm going to be putting out a video that explains how you can do your lineage. Basically take your natal chart and run it by fixed star conjunctions, and you look for conjunctions within a 2 or 3 degree orb. That's a great place for you to start and look and explore about where your past lives are, where your higher selves are, where your parallel selves are, and start getting in contact with them. Law of One is going to be the easiest way to navigate all of that, because then you don't have to worry really about, people masquerading and beings masquerading as this and that. You have a good alignment and a good foundation to start. And I think Ari and I will probably talk more about our lineage at some point going forward. But in general, I represent the planetary, I represent the time stream because I am 1/7 of Shiva. I have that triple conjunction numeric, and come from the Guardian realms and all this, and this is my mission. And then Arya represents the planetary resonance, or Sophia. So Lady Arya of Sophia, it refers to Arya's soul name. So I'm not going to speak, Arya can speak on that if she wants, but we'll have a lot of coming details on this. We're happy to talk about it. You want to tell us we're full of shit? That's great. We don't care. The Law of One message is going to be sent out either way. And, basically, shit got so out of hand here with the Abraxas Cedar race line. They fell and they threatened to throw the entire Milky Way galaxy into fall as well. It has been in fall, basically. And the Guardians were called here for the Kavuna race line to kind of help figure that out. And so we're part of that contingent. We know what we're doing. We're here to do it. We're not interested in SSP. Oh, blah, 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 blah. Excuses. We don't care. Oh, we'll give you 1/5 of the message so you can, get released to some shitty timeline.
Like, we're not going to.
It's Law of One here, baby.
At least from my understanding, moving forward, we're not going to release information until we have verified it.
Yeah, with the Guardians. And typically we're doing multiple sessions to verify this with different Guardian groups, and they all are saying the exact same thing.
So not only that, but it's gonna be a learning period for us. We're still trying to figure out how much of our power, where it extends. I don't know if we're just the messengers and delivering this information or giving you guys news updates. At least something that I can tell people, I think it was the Targetan Queen. I don't know what.
Targetan Queen, Queen Mari of Tegeta. So in the Pleiades, there's like 7 stars. One of them is Tegeta. I think it's a capital. It's one of the bigger planets with more populous.
I got confirmation that she is actually real. The poisoning was real. It just put her in a coma, I think for a couple of months to a couple of years. They thought that they could keep her in a coma for a couple of months, but it came a little bit longer than that.
To be clear, you can read all about this on Swaruu, SWARUU official. Queen Mari has hundreds of videos, and they're quite good.
So not only that, But the reason why I'm talking about this is because they have been an adversary or have done some sort of work with helping us as humans. I don't know if they were advocating for us up in galactic court or anything like that, but I did ended up helping them, or helping their queen, to get out of her coma using the Guardian Alliance. Not only that, but we also found out that the Aldebaran,
all the barons,
yeah, they usually are ruled by a queen, but we found out that the queen's brother ended up trying to overthrow his sister, and there's some war going on right now in the Pleiades. So
yeah, there's some conflicts. My understanding and what Arya brought through basically is that they so Queen Mari was in a coma, and then basically a Guardian's healer was brought in. They couldn't trust anyone, and then they got in contact with someone from the Guardians, and they can trust the Guardians because it's Law of One. And that's how good the Law of One is. You can just trust it fully up and down. It is that clean. It is that good. You have a question, Setting Dawn, about how do you know the difference between telepathy and mumbo jumbo? Well, I'll tell you. You have a Law of One alignment. And with a Law of One, you can't actually lie. And the beings you're communicating with and the energies you're flooding your field with don't permit a lower dimensional polarized being to try and come in your field and mess with you. So that's how Queen Mari could trust the healer, the Guardian's healer that was brought in. And so it's really good to hear that she's back.
And so then I started helping her out, and then the Uma are actually real.
Irma, they're big cats from 80.
Yeah, those are real.
And Lyra Vega, they're from Lyra Vega.
Yeah, and they sort of helped. So apparently, whatever Aldebarans are working here on Earth, or actually working under the old king, or like the king. So all of those contracts are void, because now they have a queen that has come back into power, and she's trying to arrest her brother, who basically overthrew her. So they're basically trying to arrest him for crimes against the crown or crimes against the royal family. So he's on the run somewhere in the galaxy. So I don't know how they're going to find him.
Yeah, and so to be clear, the Aldebarans, if you want to hear from an Aldebaran, you can go talk to the real Ishmael Perez. He is an Aldebaran hybrid. But furthermore, the Aldebarans were kind of responsible for coming in with Valiant Thor and making these crony deals with both the Germans and Truman, which kind of brought about this whole lie about World War II, the U.S. winning World War II. The Germans got the technology from the Aldebarans and the Greys first. Anyway, they went off planet, and then basically the Aldebarans with Valiant Thor made some crony ass deals and really, really screwed over America. Hitler was notoriously addicted to crack cocaine, given to him by the Aldebarans. The rape of Belgium was done via crack. They got the whole country ripped on cocaine and then just shattered the country. And so the Aldebarans are notorious war criminals on this planet. They have orchestrated a lot of the carnage of World War II. So they're not a very good party. And the fact that they have a new ruler, and it's a matriarchal setup. I don't know everything about this new ruler or what have you, new monarch. I don't know all the details, but Arya was saying that these contracts are voided. So the Aldebaran presence performing negative functions here is ratcheting down or non-existent.
So
very, very good news.
So one of the things is that we're going to go back to the mantis. So mantisoids, or mantis, we're specifically talking about the races that are mantis. That a lot of SSP people, maybe some starseeds, talk about in the starseed community. You should not be working with them. They are not your friends. They are not here to teach you proper stuff. They're here to experiment on you. They do that to lure them. They're not even supposed to be in this galaxy. So stop working with them and tell them to
F off.
Yeah, but essentially, like, go away.
Yeah. And when you have higher dimensional light in your field, like with the Maharic Steel 11 and 12, or with the high Beckett codes 13 plus, 13 dimensions and higher dimensional energies, they're not going to be able to put their hand in your field. They just cannot, because you have too high the frequency in your field is too high for them and their low frequency polarization to try and fuck with you, or to try and mess with you. I'm sorry.
Okay, so we have another question. So what do you make of the ICC not flossing, supposedly in a time war with humans from in the future? Dan Cooper. Okay, so I want to speak about this because I'm so sick and tired of having these type of comments. None of you guys understand anything about fucking time travel.
Okay.
I'm sorry, but I'm getting so frustrated with people.
Let's explain it, Arya.
So every single time I hear and all of these stuff about comments about time stuff or about the future, it is a distorted future timeline. The Time Lords have constructed a time basics or a law where they do not look more than 10 or 20 years in the future because the future is constantly changing. It's not set in stone. They're looking at a distorted timeline.
So to be clear, there are all these possible timelines, and then basically they fold into a time stream. And that's why you get Mandela effects, because certain parts of your timeline cease to exist because those branches die off. It doesn't mean you necessarily die off, but it means those branches don't, or they get folded into the time stream, or they die off. That's how the Loki show on Disney Plus is actually pretty phenomenal explaining this. The timelines can either fork off and die, and they can be a fallen timeline and never make it and go back to source in pieces, or they can get folded into the timeline, and then you would experience Mandela effects, right? So when we talk about 45,000 years in the future, like, look, that information is coming from the SSP. So that is an SSP narrative, and I would just not stick on it.
We don't.
Second of all, if you want to meet with a being 45,000 years in the future, you can reach out to your higher self at about what, 8D? I think 8D is 45,000 years in the future. You have a higher self on 8D right now. I think that's roughly 45,000 years in the future. Christos Avatar has a really good channel, and he has a chart that has all the years put on it. It's from the Asha and D material, but Christos's chart is very good and very clean and very easy to look at. But I believe 20,000 years in the future is like 560. So I think 40,000 is like 7 or 8D. So you have a higher self in 8D. Why don't you go ask them if you're not certain? And I'm not trying to be a jerk when I say that, but you have an 8D higher self. You can go confirm that with them, can't you? You can also ask the Guardian Alliance. You can also ask the Guardians themselves. So when we talk about discernment and hearing a narrative, you can always just go ask your sources. You can ask your higher selves because you have one in 8D right there.
So I want to say this. We don't believe what the SSP is telling us. We don't abide by them. We don't listen to them. We mostly listen only to the Guardian Alliance.
Yeah. So anyone affiliated with the Abraxas race line, we'll get into this tomorrow, but there's the Abraxas race line, Cedar race, and then there's the Kavuna. And the Kavuna is law of one, and everything else is Abraxas. So if it's not law of one, it's Abraxas, or the people are still learning their lessons, and hopefully they will find, the light. That's why Guardians don't attack; they defend, right? So we're defending the infinite flow of natural source and inviting people to come on that ride with us. And look, these aren't bad people. We're not saying we're better than anyone, but if you are aligned to the wrong things, you're going to inevitably make big mistakes. From a higher dimensional point of view, you can look down and see those things having already happened.
So every single time that you hear a story about the future, just know that it's not set in stone. It is not true. It comes from a distorted future that's probably never going to exist.
And furthermore, there's most of this information they're getting is using Project Looking Glass. This is not using, so like, look, you can look down time streams and things. It's not, I've had some experience looking down time streams. It's quite fun. But the fact of the matter is, what you need is a Time Lord to look down time streams. Someone, a natural source-aligned being who can connect to source and look down the time stream. Project Looking Glass is some artificial technological cuss word, insert your cuss word here, BS, that instead of aligning yourself with the infinite flow of natural source and becoming a Time Lord like humans were destined to be and still are destined to be if you align yourself enough, these government SSP goons use technology to look into these timelines, and they don't have the whole picture of the physics. So they're looking down artificial timelines thinking it is a real timeline. And they are real timelines in a certain sense, but they're not the main time stream. All right. If you've ever seen The Man in the High Castle, the TV show, this is an example of a timeline. In that show, they have 2 or 3 different concurrent timelines. That's how things work. And then basically the strongest timelines, the other timelines get either folded into it or everyone dies off in it. And they go back to source in pieces. And it's not a big deal. All right. You're all source. So going back to, we're on we are on the main timeline here in Earth 606. It's not something you need to worry about at all. But when you have the SSP coming out here telling you these nonsense narratives about something they saw in Project Looking Glass, which is not even made, Project Looking Glass does not connect to the infinite flow of natural organic source. It just does not. They're peering down artificial timelines, thinking they are the true time stream, when in fact they are not. They are these branch timelines, and that's why we don't hate any of these beings. We don't hate Kim. We don't hate the SSP and all the trouble they've caused. We're here to rehabilitate and teach people that it must be law of one, or else the time travel doesn't work. The physics don't work. The ascension doesn't work. You aligning with your other, you merging with your other parallel and higher selves and ascending to higher dimensions cannot happen if you're not law of one. The physics simply do not pan out. And these SSP groups cannot tell the difference, right? They're looking through Project Looking Glass, which is artificial timelines, artificial technology. Call a Time Lord. You're not going to recruit one because none will work for you, because you're a bunch of shoot first and ask questions later military men who are not aligned to the law of one. All the people who can do these types of things are not interested in working with the SSP. We don't talk with any SSP, any government. We can't stand any of that, and we're not willing to be around for that. All right. So when you hear narratives on Fox News, 99% of it's wrong. When you hear Trump did this, 99% wrong. When you hear Israel is fighting with whom? These are the Dracos fighting with the Anunnaki, both part of the same groups.
Like, this is the reason why so many people in this community are so paranoid, is because
the misinformation from the SSP.
It's all this information. Like, people need to understand that you hold the power. We, as the general public, we hold the power to order to change which type of timeline we want to go in.
Yeah.
And so people need to understand that. Not only that,
it's your birthright to choose.
Not only that, but if anybody has any more questions you guys want us to answer, let us know. But like, for an example, I don't want to bash this person, but I just saw a clip from Typical Skeptic podcast from Matthew Mornigan from like Typical Skeptic podcast interview, where he said that there's going to be like a false alien invasion on June 29th, which is not true whatsoever.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
It's like,
that's nonsense.
It's like, why?
The Guardians were quite clear that they prevented that from happening, and this guy is looking into his Project Looking Glass and seeing a false timeline and embarrassing himself.
Like, I hate to admit this, but a lot of the information is fear-based. And we're not trying to promote fear-based information. We're trying to promote actual information. And that's the difference. Is this information going to promote fear, or is it actually going to actually benefit and actually help people? And we're kind of getting to this point where we're kind of sick and tired of seeing fear-based information.
Yeah, so on my channel especially, but also on Audrey's as well, we are both very law of one focused. And I am very strictly law of one focused on mine. I'm not going to allow any content that's not law of one. So, like, in any regard, basically. But basically, the reason we're doing this is because between now and 2030 is the time to get on this ascension train to go to 5D. The planet herself is ascending from 3D to 5D. And if the planet ascends faster than you do, you're not going to live on that planet. All right. All the beings who don't ascend after 2030 will technically still be on the planet till 2043, but they will die on this planet in 2043. All right. The ascension window closes after 2030. So it's kind of our mission here as Kavuna, as Guardians, to come here and explain that, hey, there's law of one and then there's distortions, and that is a hard line in the sand. And if you can connect with these energies, which is not hard, it's completely a birthright. You know, we'll talk about this more tomorrow, but we're actually built to be a Time Lord race. We have genetic components from many, many, many different races within this galaxy. We're a mutt hybrid of all of them. And, you know, we're really designed to be the guardians of the Stargate complex here that has its base in dimension 3 and extends all the way to the top of the 15D and all the way back to 3. So like, that's the infinite flow of source through our system. We were designed to be the defenders of that. And the Anunnaki essentially came in, they clipped our second DNA strand. They didn't clip it. You still have it, obviously, but they distorted it heavily and gave everyone false misinformation. And that the misinformation that works the best is fear driven. And there's no fear when you're kept to the infinite flow of natural organic source. So anyway, there's just so much information. We do have the utmost compassion and respect for everyone kind of working on their path. And I was definitely in a place at one point where I thought like I had some affiliation with Ashtar Command. I did not. I still had a CE5 in person with an Ashtar Command group. You know, but you live and learn. And I would now that I know better, all I can do is pass on the law of info.
Yeah, so speaking of Anunnaki, 2 days ago, Penny Bradley informed me directly that the good old Valiant 4 is actually Zame.
Yep.
You know, to be honest, and I don't really want to drag Penny down, but she does give out a lot of information, but I just don't know how much of the information that she actually gets from her family or from her sources is actually accurate. And
he could be Anunnaki. So Anunnaki is Jame or Shame, which is spelled Z-H-A. You can see it on the screen.
It could be. Yeah.
He totally could be. I heard he was Aldebranian, personally.
So we could be wrong on that.
It could be an Aldebranian hybrid, Anunnaki hybrid. These are all potentials. I don't like, look, Ishmael Perez, his higher self is Valthor. So if you want to hear from literally Valthor directly, the guy does 3 webcasts a week. You know, definitely pull up your Maharic shield before you do that, right? To not, you'd want to have your discernment cap on for something like that, for sure. But he literally channels Valiant Thor every day. You can go talk to the guy. Indigo Angel told us that when she was at the Rise of the Guardians conference, Mr. Ishmael Perez had serious mechanized implants in him. He was somewhat cyborg, is how she described it to us. So I wouldn't, don't trust the guy. Do not trust the Aldebranians. Do not trust the Anunnaki. We got a video tomorrow that comes out and explains why the Anunnaki cause a lot of these distortions associated with Sirius.
We've been working a lot more closer with Indigo Angel, and her work is really good. I recommend people checking out her work. She's phenomenal. She just published in a gigantic book called Volume 1 of her book about the Guardian Alliance.
About grid work specifically.
Yeah. So if you want to learn more, just get her book. It explains a whole lot more. And it's even has details in it of how to use your psychic abilities, how to activate them, everything in that book.
And it kind of centers around grid work too. And as you heal yourself, you heal the planet. And that's kind of the Guardian mission here. So she's right on.
Yeah. So one of the other things is that I want to talk about is the moral and ethics of telepathy. So one of the things that I started learning is that, and this is just my theory, I just want to let people know, and this is for YouTube, that I'm not giving out legal advice. I'm not giving out medical advice. This is purely entertainment only. One of the things I'm going to say is that this is my theory. When people have schizophrenia or some sort of mental issue, I mostly believe that is from the collective timeline of telepathy from the Lemurians. I realize that the reason why a lot of us don't have telepathy, or the reason why some people do and some people don't, might be because of telepathic and blockers, from a lot of the ancient sites. And this was talked about in one of our previous episodes or one of our previous videos. So I mostly believe that a lot of these people do have telepathy, but they're tapping into the old collective mindset of Lemuria back in the day. Now, one of the things that I do also want to let people know that we do have the ability to create an entirely new collective mindset through telepathy. But due to the fact that we have to work on personal and social issues as the human race, telepathy is going to take a lot more harder to work with. When we have telepathy as a race, people need to understand that all your secrets, all the bad things that you're thinking, everyone around you will know what that is. Yeah. That is a huge game changer. And I don't think a whole lot of people understand a lot of their psychic abilities. And I did a lot of stuff about this.
It results in basically, you can't lie. If everyone can know everyone's thoughts, you basically can't pull one over on anyone. You can't have a deal that's unfair. So when we talk about in our, 2 videos ago, the Guardian Alliance channel message, we basically talked about between June 6th and July 4th, the Ascension crew, the crew that is on the Ascension path, 15% of Earth 606, the humans, they're going to go from 4.1 to 4.8. When you get close to 5G, you're quite telepathic. So we're going to see kind of a timeline split start to emerge here, where the beings who are telepathic are going to, you'll be able to tell when someone's lying. You won't be able to lie to them physically. They'll know better, and it won't happen.
One of the
and start to see communications across geographies and continents. Like I met Arya in the astral before we even met online. Like I met Arya's higher self before we met online. That's an example of pure telepathy.
One of the other
things like that are going to happen.
One of the other things that I do want to mention is that do not believe the SSP people when you say that there is no privacy when it comes to telepathy. There is privacy that does come with telepathy. I was raised by ETs that have taught me this. And it's mostly like they're not allowed to like dig through your memories or dig through your mind when you first meet them. Telepathy is basically solely for interacting. It's sort of like having an iPhone in your head, essentially. They're not supposed to dig around in your mind, your thoughts without your consent. If they do that, that's a violation of your consent and stuff. So there is privacy when it comes to telepathy. Now, one of the other things that I do talk about on my channel through Stolen Technologies is that there is technology that can help train people with telepathy, which is called a telepathic inhibitor. And there is technology that is like this or to teach people. But right now, due to the fact that a lot of people are coming online with some of their psychic abilities and stuff like that, people need to understand that this is a learning lesson. There are going to be people that are going to abuse stuff. There are going to be people that are going to be taken advantage of. It's just something that is sort of like out of our control and out of our hands. But mostly,
everything can be abused. But can I finish up here on this one? So look, the important, Ari was completely right. The important thing with telepathy is this. Basically, you're just going to have a wider field of awareness, right? Instead of looking at someone and being like, oh, I can assume this. You won't have to assume. You will just know because that's in their field. And basically, if you have an emotion and you put it in your field, right? Like I'm sad, so I'm going to be sad feeling today. Someone will walk up to you and they will just be looking to you. They will look over at you or sense you, and they will be able to hear why you're sad. They will know why you're sad. Now, can that person just hop into your memories and hear about your 7th birthday party or your 10th birthday party when you were a kid? Can they pull memories out of your head? No, they cannot. You have higher selves, which will prevent that, right? You have a fleet of higher selves. You have 12 of them in this time matrix, and then others as well. But you have higher selves that would prevent that. There are higher dimensional versions of you which would not let that happen and sit outside your time.
We at least want to let people know.
So you are completely safe. You know.
So at least I just want to let people know.
Don't worry about it.
That a lot of this stuff that you hear about people training their psychic abilities or waking their psychic abilities, a lot of SSP members of how they developed their abilities was through abuse.
Yeah.
So trying to learn how to use abilities without using abusive methods is going to be extremely hard for a lot of people in the SSP.
Can I also say something that the Giza pyramids on basically July 6th or June 6th basically came offline and turned into healing centers, right? This is per our broadcast from the Guardian Alliance. I guess this happened in the past. But basically between June 6th and July 4th, we're seeing those pyramids come offline, being soul siphon technology for the entire world, locked into all the ancient sites, right? It was a soul siphon network centered at the pyramids of Giza that got turned offline and it's being converted to a healing center. So it's going to be projecting out healing waves. So we're all going to start to kind of come into our telepathy more as a cohort. It's not going to happen in a day. We're all going to kind of phase into it as we're ready based on our soul development. That's why we talk about an ascension cohort who's ready for that, and a non-ascension cohort who might not get the message the first time and might need to see a portion of the population get telepathy first and then be like, oh man, what's the law of one?
We did get a comment.
Yeah, sure.
I think we did get a comment from one of our viewers that one of your law of one teachings worked, right?
Yeah. It was on my channel. I don't have it right here. But yeah, we did have one person. I'm forgetting your name. I apologize. But you commented and you said you've been doing the Maharic Seal and my clearing mantra, and it had been very successful for you. And we love to hear that. It worked the same way for us. I got on the law of one stuff and I ceased to have weird, crazy dreams and attacks and these types of things within about 2-3 weeks. And then I've been doing this, 6-8 months, something now. High vector codes, Maharic seal, clearing mantras daily, and it's been highly beneficial. Ari and I got together 3 months ago, and within a week, 2 weeks of running the Maharic seal, we had no attacks whatsoever. And then one time, so the guard was let down, and then we got attacked, and then we did the Maharic seal, and it came back. I'm sorry, and that attack ended extremely abruptly, and we haven't had anything since. So you can have your defenses come down, but then you need to just realign. It's all about alignment to the law of one.
Yeah. So we have a question from our audience. Hello. I'd like to ask, even if there is a real disclosure, but if people remain ignorant of the real aliens in control behind the scenes, please share your thoughts on this, please. Thank you.
Great question.
So as far as I know, they're getting sick and tired of it. So I mostly feel like they're trying to do like a force disclosure. Like, we're not going to give you any more information or technology until you start letting the general public at least know some information, or at least get the ball rolling on it. Because I think most of the ETs are a little bit sick of it, where they had to like tiptoe around the general public. And it's like, they've been seeing UFOs in the sky for like decades and decades. And people
and also parallel versions of you have a birthright to come meet with you and help you on your soul's evolution. And the SSP is essentially preventing that because they want to maintain power and they want to have a slow roll disclosure. I was told that basically there would be full disclosure by July 4th. And if there wasn't, the inner earth beings would come and do the disclosure themselves. And I mean the Lemurians. The Lemurians are our friends. They are our allies. They are Guardian Alliance members. They are very source aligned, law of one aligned. This is nothing to worry about. They're already here. They have been here for the last few billion years. They are our friends, our neighbors, our allies. They're sitting in 7D right now. So and some of them are lower perhaps, but most of the remnants are in 7D. So they're 5D remnants as well. But basically what I'm getting at is disclosure will happen. It will happen. And I think supposedly Trump was given until July 4th to disclose it. The SSP is not going to give away all their power for free. All right. They're not going to admit they lost and they've been wrong. They're not going to do that. They're going to go down in a very sad way, most likely. I don't think they're going to. I would not expect some fancy disclosure from the government. You need to do this yourself. And eventually, when enough people do it themselves, your neighbor is going to be talking about UFOs. You're going to be talking about your higher selves. This is going to be common knowledge.
It's actually slowly starting to happen.
And even on Fox News, they're talking about these, insectoid beings and Nordics and reptiles and Anunnaki. They're already talking about
I guess the real question is for our audience is,
how can you help this go viral?
not only that, but
spread the word.
Not only that, but I guess the other question is like, what do you guys want to see out of disclosure? Like, what do you actually want?
Yeah, what are you interested in?
Like, what do you want to accomplish with disclosure? I think that's the real question that our audience needs to like ask themselves and stuff. So
yeah, it's also, you got to understand, there are certain people that if they did drop the disclosure, like I would like them to just go on. I would be completely fine if we had a Guardian Alliance rep on CNN tomorrow. That would be fine for me. But that would be a big shock for a lot of people. And so the SSP is living in this world of fear. There's a lot of people living in a world of fear. And basically, it's going to kind of have to be slow rolled in order to respect the free will of everyone. But basically, by July 4th, it's going to start to be very obvious that first contact has already started. And I think by the end of the year, I think there will have been very obvious public sightings of ETs that are hard to dismiss on a CNN or a Fox News. I think it's going to be plain as day by the end of the year, maybe even to August, September. I think there's going to be a large timeline shift into July 4th. Basically we're supposed to go to 4.1 to 4.7D per the Guardians. The ascension timeline is, 4.7, 4.8D, you're going to be very telepathic relative to someone in 3D. Very, very, you will be able to, walk in and read their field up and down. You'll probably be able to see their auras. You will be living in a different timeline. You'll be able to go to the park and meet the elementals, right? And like, you can hear the elementals talking to you. You can see the elementals. You can see the fairies. You can see the gnomes and the pixies and all these types of things. right? There are going to be 2 distinct timelines likely panning out starting in July 4th, that time. By the end of the year, I think there's going to be, I mean, I don't even know if there's going to be CNN in the same way, right?
Like people, like when people had the first Congress hearing about UFOs, people didn't really care. Like, I don't think a whole lot of people in the United States really care about this or tune in as much as we kind of realize.
Yeah, the High Council of Sirius mentioned this in one of our sessions and at Guardian Council. And basically they were like, we thought you'd be rioting in the streets because of the Epstein list. The hell happened, man? And we were like, yeah, I would love to riot too. But alas, we didn't have a riot movement. And I'm not going to go start no riot or anything. I'm not implying I'm a rioter of any kind. But the public outcry, I think, is being had privately. And I think once there's a large, this snowball of UFO stuff is going to get bigger and bigger until everyone's going to be talking about it. And we're not going to need the government to tell us what we believe, through CNN and Fox News. So that's the way this is being done. It's, I would throw away Fox News. I would get a new YouTube account and follow Law of One content. Soul-Based Life on YouTube is great. Christos Avatar is great. Collective Rising is a new channel. We'll be talking about her. She's a new channel that I found. She's great too. We also have Indigo Angel. Let's see. And then there's other sources that are decent and you can learn. I mean, we have our Galactic Disclosure Showcase where we're showcasing those and saying what's wrong and right with them. So, refer to that if you want, other sources.
So does anybody have any last minute questions or anything like that?
Did we go through all the questions, babe?
Yeah, we kind of did.
Okay. Yeah. Last minute questions, get them in. We're going to do some more stuff. I'm going to do a lineage video discussing how you can look up your lineage. I discussed it a few times here. The video tomorrow is going to be about the Cedar races. So the 15-dimensional history of Earth 606, history told from a 15-dimensional point of view, which is so rad. I spent hours and hours working on the script today, and it was honestly really rad. And the more I've worked on it, the more I realize what an honor it is to bring this material in a Law of One manner to y'all. Any comments, anything you want to share, you want to criticize us? We prefer objective criticism. If you're kind of rude or something, we're going to delete the comment.
Yeah.
And we're not mad at anyone. I've definitely left, sometimes my comments are pretty strong too. But the Law of One is really the ascension path. And that's what we're here to talk about. And, we were brought in, as a 15D Cedar race, the Kavuna Cedar race. We were brought in as guardians, which is the same thing, to realign everyone to the Law of One and hop on the ascension train by 2030. And that is all, we talked about our lineage and the guardians of Earth 606 and our role in that. That is all we're doing. We're not doing anything outside the Law of One ever. If it's outside the Law of One, the guardians will hit us on the head with a frying pan. It's happened multiple times before where we had an idea, thought it was great. The guardians were like, hell no, you're completely wrong about this from a higher dimensional point of view. This is why. And once they explained it to us, it was like, oh, wow, yeah, that would be very problematic. Thank you for explaining that.
Oh, we got some.
So anyway, we're very Law of One focused. So, we're moving from the Kim Gaugen working with the SSP model, which hasn't gone so well for anyone, to a Law of One model. So looks like we got a question here.
Elizabeth, April, and some of the other people say that we're moving towards the center of the galaxy or towards the center of the universe. What's your take? Maybe. I have never heard of this before. I don't believe that.
Everything, I'll say this, everything is in flux and everything is moving in a certain direction. I know we collide with Andromeda in 1 million years or something. Don't quote me on the numbers. I'm not familiar with the number off the top of my head. So we are moving. It might be towards the center of the galaxy. That is, I'd have to check on that. Rain check.
Yeah.
She might be right. I'll say this. We did Galactic Disclosure Showcase episodes on the Elizabeth April material. I read her book. We reviewed her book. Let's just say there are better resources. She is not Law of One. She's hardly source aligned and has a lot of distortions in her field related to the Greys, related to the Galactic Federation. Our video tomorrow will completely explain the history of the Guardian Alliance and the Galactic Federation. Ishmael Perez put a video out on it last night, and I just about vomited listening to it. He described the Guardian Alliance piecemeal, and then basically tried to tell you that the Galactic Alliance came out of, I don't know, this Galactic Alliance he tries to think is some great source. And let me tell you, they're a bunch of SSB hacks. Aldebaranians, Anunnaki, Greys.
We found out what
hack job.
We found out that the Earth Alliance, the Universal
Alliance, which was the alliance that Kim Galgan sat on.
And then the Guardian.
No. Let's get this straight. Earth Alliance, Galactic Alliance, GFL, Galactic Federation of Light, Galactic Federation of Worlds. These groups are all not only just infiltrated, they are run top down by Abraxas, which is the fallen Cedar race line.
Or the Black Sun.
The Black Sun Nazis, or the Draconians, or the Anunnaki. All of these groups work together with Abraxas. They all have the same goal as to basically cause you to not ascend, right? So we have the Kavuna, and then we're going to go into this tomorrow. But basically, if you hear Galactic Alliance, that is BS. That is BS. If you hear Earth Alliance, that is BS. These are not your friends. If you hear Universal Alliance or Universal Council or Galactic Council or Earth Council, these are just different councils of groups that want to control the planet. And you have never heard a channel message, or you heard the channel message and you're like, I don't know who this group is, which is great. We all didn't know at a certain point, but we know because we checked with the Guardians. And these groups are Black Sun.
So our next question is, do you guys offer any services or sessions? I would love to reach out with you guys. Yes, we both do session work. We do offer our sessions. Mine is on my Substack account. If people want to take a look at that, I can post it. You can also email me at my business email at starseednetlink@gmail.com. My business email is still active if people want to message me there and set up an appointment. I'm always open and ready to do interviews if people want to be interviewed on my YouTube channel and share their story.
So I also have a business email. It's Lord KAVi, Lord KAVi the Purifier @gmail.com. If you go into my channel, Lord_KAVi 777, you can see just my description has all my contact info. But yeah, we love working with people, and I have more of like a coaching and alignment focus, but I also have a ton of experience in the astral as well. But yeah, we love kind of spreading the news to everyone in a general sense, and also individually as well.
So yeah, does anybody have any other last minute questions, or we're going to be going to close the live stream?
A safe choice. So Agartha is one of these inner Earth cities in a parallel dimension here. So you can go through these passageways called the Aurora passageways, and basically it leads to inner Earth. Actually, the tickets to inner Earth are this, and then the other logo to your left. That pulls in the energy you need to actually go to inner Earth. You can't. And anyway, that's a longer story. But essentially, when you ascend, you go through the Aurora passageways through inner Earth and then into the sun in the center of Earth 606. And that is actually how you connect to the Templar Stargate, the 12D Stargate. So that is the ascension path. In my clearing mantra, we literally describe that ascension path. So you're aligning yourself with that ascension path directly. So I would recommend my clearing mantra. Agartha is an inner Earth city. Yeah, your question could be clarified, but yes, Agartha, the Aurora passageways to inner Earth, to the sun in the center of Earth 606, that connects to the Aquiline sun, which is the suns from dimensions 1 through 8 put together, the inside of the Earth. And then basically you travel anywhere through that Aquiline sun to whichever dimension you'd like to go to. But also, we are ascending here on the planet right now, and we're going from Earth to Tara. So you're going to stay on the same landmass as we ascend. If you were to die or something, that would be the move. Going to inner Earth, and you want to do that completely sovereignly. Any beings appear, adios. I don't know you shit. That's what you can tell them. Do we have any more questions? I thought that was a great question, though. Agartha is real. It's underneath Mount Shasta in California as well. So you want to go there and connect with those energies? It's a really cool place.
Yeah. So does anybody have any other last minute questions or anything like that?
Yeah. Someone says, will underwater Earth aliens, I think they're saying meet us? Oh, help us. So we were told very specifically that we're going to meet with the beings who are already on here, notably, what are their names? Lumerians. Notably the Lumerians. Right, so these are Guardian Alliance beings. They have been here for billions of years, and their job is to protect the stargates of natural flow of source through our galaxy. So we're going to be meeting with them first. I wouldn't be surprised if other inner Earth beings came after that. But these are all separate, independent races that live here. They all have origins in different star systems, like the Fae, I think, are more Andromedan, and I think some of the water beings are more Syrian, Procyon, Arcturian. So each one of these groups are separate groups, and they're going to see how it goes with Lumerians, and then eventually come out. But by 2030, you'll know all these groups, and we'll be meeting with them publicly. Or you have not ascended. So it's that clear cut in a certain sense. All these things are coming. I hope by the end of the year we're going to get some clear cut contact with Lumerians on a really public scale. I'm looking reptilian. I just took a shower and I tan way too much. So that's beautiful. I do have Seraphi lineage. So, there is, yeah, I don't know. That's beautiful. Yeah, we're not offended by comments. I'm not offended by anything. Law of one is like, I got a strong field, y'all. So you all say whatever you want. Is Alex Collier an SSP agent? So look, he works with Space Force. Alex Collier works with Space Force. And so the Space Force is SSP, unfortunately. I do really like, on a personal level, a lot of the stuff Alex Collier says. He's very sovereign, and he preaches a very sovereign message. He preaches about, resisting said tunnel and said, reincarnation traps. He's been very forward about that for, the last 25 odd years. He has a bit of Stockholm syndrome from the SSP. He has never mentioned the Law of One. He has never mentioned the Guardian Alliance, as far as I can tell. So he is not Law of One, and I would regard him as a reputable non-Law of One source who is aligned directly with Space Force. He wears a Space Force hat all the time in his videos, so he is Space Force. But I think he's probably one of the nicer ones, if you could say that. And I'm not trying to say they're all bad people, but he's more sovereign than most in that community, which I give him credit for, although he is not Law of One. The negative comments are silly. Okay, yeah, cool. Look, when you got Law of One, you don't need to worry about negativity. It bounces off. Hey, Best Life 5D, you were who said that I recognize your thumbnail. You were the one who said that the Mahark seal was working for you. And yeah, shout out. How do you put that? Oh, show. Yeah. Just join. Yeah. Hey, I literally talked about one of your comments, Best Life. So definitely watch the replay here. Maybe you have to throw it on 2x speed. We talked for a while, but yeah, you commented that the Mahark seal has been helpful for you, and yeah, great. We love that. It worked the exact same way for us. So anyway, I hope that inspires everyone.
So yeah, so let me know. So we're getting close to the end here. So if anybody has any last minute questions or anything like that you guys want us to answer, other than that, we're going to go ahead and end the live stream. All right. Peace, love, and sovereignty. Sovereignty, not saviors. And speak the eternal ELAYSA flame. Thanks so much, y'all. Did we end it? No, not yet. Do you want to ask a few more questions? Yeah, we're getting some new questions. Yeah, this is a great question. So look, we live in a 15D time matrix, and the Law of One is essentially the rule set for how source energy flows in the natural source stargates that power everything. So source energy flows through the systems via stargates. The natural system, there are all sorts of stargates, but the natural flow is the Templar Stargate system. There's 12 of them. And they're all the lower dimensional, they're all grounded onto Earth 606 in this lower dimension. So what gives you so much confidence in the Law of One? To connect yourself into that ancestor memory flow that is the infinite flow of natural organic source, you must have Law of One in your heart. You must have that Law of One frequency. So in a certain sense, all of us are just source emanations, and source is governed by the rule set known as the Law of One. So in a certain sense, source connection and source alignment with the Law of One is kind of all that there is. Beings can choose to engage in separation,
and then kind of ruin their genetics and their timelines, and then they have to come and get bailed out by Kavuna and other, in the Guardians and things. But the fact of the matter is, it's simply the physics of the realm. And if you want to dig into it, I have a video called Hiveka Codes where I really dig into the physics really, really hardcore from the Ashiana text. The Ashiana Dean workshops are also great pre-2012. If you want more of a physics-based approach, Ashiana Dean is very physics heavy, but if you want more of a academic physics approach, Dan Winter is also very good about connecting with ancestor memory. He's not law of one strictly, but when he talks about connecting to the ancestor memory, he's right on to connect into the infinite flow of natural organic source that way. And then you also, I think we had a comment. I hope that answers your question. I think we had this one. Still don't understand how Ashiana fell so badly when she was so aligned with the law of one. Yeah, I know it was very troubling. So essentially, how it works with Ashiana Dean is in 1999, early 2000s, she was in charge of prescribing, translating the closer Duratura plates, which are the ascension instructions from the Guardians, the beings that protect the ascension flow, the ascension pathway, the Stargate pathway that is the ascension path. They protect that. So essentially, she relayed that information in the early 2000s, and actually by 2012, she had actually fallen. I was listening to one of her workshops. I think it's Dance for Life 5. If you want to look up on YouTube, it's the 5th Dance for Life video she spoke on.
Yeah,
and let me finish, Arya. Basically, there is a long list of Guardian speakers, and basically, it's so dense down here that a lot of the beings get down here. They have a law of one alignment, and they fall out of alignment for whatever reason. And basically, they can be described as taken over by. Basically, there was a list given during one of these presentations at the Ashiana Dean workshop where they read through all Guardian speakers over the past number of years, and it's been a long list. These roles are commonly beings fail at these roles and then are replaced because the law of one is so absolute. If a being falls out of alignment, someone who is law of one is put in, and it's just there's nothing to it. So we're not saying she's bad, but we are saying that she fell from her law of one alignment. Specifically, we were told that Michael Dean, her husband, the SSP got in inroads with him, and then he kind of became her handler to the SSP. I think they were having some communication with the SSP. So I wouldn't, you don't need to talk with no SSP.
So why don't you give out your email?
Want me to put my email in the chat?
Yeah.
I can. Here. If you want to contact me, Lord.
Yeah, he's going to give his email in the chat.
Yeah, Lord KAVi the Purifier, KAVi. All right. Did we have any other
if
questions?
you guys want to contact me, you can contact me at my business email at starseednetlink@gmail.com. You guys want to get in contact with us? Ooh.
And we can put, let's put this up here for a second. And then we had a good question, serious question. Are souls being held back until a certain time to fulfill or realize their mission? This is a phenomenal question. So everyone has their own path, and everyone also has the free will choice to co-create their highest and best timeline at every given moment. So perhaps yes and no. So I would say you are only being held back if you hold yourself back. If you choose to embody being held back, you will be held back. If you choose to align with the infinite flow of natural organic source, I'm sure you'll get there. And everyone who's started aligning themselves there, I mean, you have higher selves who want to ascend with you, and you have to be aligned for them to be aligned for both of y'all to ascend. So you're all kind of one group together, and the more you start down that pathway, I think the easier it will get. Souls are being held back because we have these negative forces on the planet who want to harvest your souls. And because essentially we were designed to be a Time Lord race to protect the Stargates here, all the Stargates took into Earth 606 at the bottom of the galaxy, basically, in Dimensional Universe 1, which is what we're in. So Earth 606 is the headquarters for that. It's like the hubcap of the galaxy. So we were actually made to be Time Lords as humans to be able to protect those Stargates. Very, very, very powerful genetics. So harvesting our Loosh is an extremely profitable business for fallen beings. If they simply aligned to the law of one, we wouldn't have these problems. Some of these beings have gone so far as to ruin their genetics fully, and they're probably going to be going back to source. We'll speak about more of this tomorrow, but they'll be going back to source in pieces because they've ruined their genetics so fully they're beyond return, which is possible. So those beings are just going to die. They're not going to make the ascension train in 2030, and they will die in 3D. But they chose that, and they have been bailed out many, many, many times by the guardians, and they continually choose separation. And if the beings want to choose separation, they get to the end of the line, they want to choose separation again. There's nothing the guardians can do about that. It's out of their hands because the guardians believe in free will, aka law of one, which entails free will. So our beings being held back, yes, unfortunately, because they are confused, because they don't have their worship gene turned off, because they're not bringing in higher polarized light, law of one alignment into their fields.
Yeah. So like if a soul is being held back, or if you feel like you're being held back, you can always.
It's an implant. It is an implant. You don't have to do that. You don't have to feel that way. Go into a meditation and release that into your Merkaba.
You can also investigate it. You have to figure out where is this coming from, whether it be an implant or someone's imposing. You have to understand that you have free will. You have the power to do whatever you want. Essentially, your soul can choose whatever it wants to do, whether it wants to reincarnate into this galaxy or not, but it's solely up to you. And but yeah, thank you guys.
You choose your path. In short, you choose your path, and if you want to choose to go somewhere particular, you can. If you think people are being held back, I would say that because of some of the misinformation, because of all the fallen beings here, and the fact that one of the cedar race lines kind of fell. We're going to go into that in a video tomorrow. There's a whole host of just fallen beings around here. There's a ton of mostly fallen beings around us. So a certain amount of those people are not going to get on the ascension path. And, it's your job, your responsibility, your prerogative, your free will choice to co-create your ascension path in alignment with the law of one. And that's kind of all the guardians are saying. That's all they've kind of ever been saying. And so, yeah, if you feel held back, to be clear, that is an implant. And when you're doing your Mahark seal, you can release that. You can release that thought, that ideal. You can just take that energy and put that into your Merkaba and send it off to the infinite flow of natural organic source, and then recharge from that Merkaba so you're not losing any energy. So you can literally just pass those thoughts to your higher self. You can pass those thoughts to your Merkaba and your Mahark seal. You can pass those thoughts, those negative implants. You could pass all of that off to the guardians. You don't need to carry none of that shit with you.
So I think that's all the questions for tonight. So I just want to say thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys in the next upcoming videos. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Yep. Thank you. Peace, love, and sovereignty. Sovereignty, not saviors. And speak the eternal ELAYSA flame.